keeping you up to speed on all your Colorado teams. It's time for Coffee Break.
Hello, everyone. I am Dante Gomez, filling in on Coffee Break today. I'm joined by Denver Sports' Will Peterson. Will, thank you for being here. Happy Friday, everybody. We got a big weekend of Denver sports ahead of us. We got the Broncos in action. We got the Buffs in action. Nuggets and Avs will be in action as well. So a little bit of everything, a lot to get to, but we'll start off with the biggest story in Denver right now. Broncos Bengals playoff spot on the line tomorrow for the Broncos, hoping to catch a win in Cincinnati and hopefully a win versus a quality opponent, which I know a lot of people around Denver have been begging for. Will, do you think we'll just start off? Actually, yeah, we'll just go straight into it. Do you think the Broncos are able to win in Cincinnati and finally clinch that spot? It feels like that playoff spot's been dangling in front of them like a carrot the last 3-4 weeks here. So do you think they finally get it done tomorrow?
Yeah, asking me for a prediction right off the jump. I like it. No, Dante, I don't have a great feeling about this game tomorrow. Listen, Riley Moss being back is big. Okay, so let's not downplay that Riley Moss. This defense does not look the same without him. The problem is I have a hard time taking stock in this defense is great when the second-year number 2 corner can play, and they're trash when he can't. That just doesn't add up. It's not like Surtain's been out the last month. It's not Nick Bonito's been out the last month. It's Riley Moss. I'm not trying to disparage that he's a very solid player, but that theory is going to be put to a test in a big way against an awfully explosive offense. You see T. Higgins is questionable, but it's like, come on. It's the biggest game of the year since he's trying to save their season. I would be stunned if T. Higgins doesn't play, along with Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Chase Brown. The list goes on and on. So I just can't buy into this defense going to be magically fixed because of Riley Moss. I hope so. I hope that's the case. But I see Cincy getting to at least 30. And I know the Bengals defense is bad, but I don't know if the Broncos are going to be able to keep up. I mean, you're giving up 30-plus to Cleveland. You're giving up 30-plus to the Chargers. If Jonathan Taylor doesn't drop the ball, you probably give up 30-plus to the Colts. Cincy's better than all those teams on offense. So I think Cincy will score somewhere in the mid-30s. I don't think the Broncos will be too far behind, but I could see it being a similar score to the one we saw in SoFi Stadium, which was 34-27.
Oh, so you do see it going as a shootout here. Not exactly the Broncos' recipe for wins this season. I know they did in against Cleveland here, but you're not going up against Jameis Winston. You're not going to get those free turnovers, most likely. You're going up against a top, 5 quarterback in Joe Burrow here. So if it ends up being that way, I don't know if I like the Broncos either. I see it a little bit different. I see probably both teams in the mid to high 20s, which I think is a lot more suitable of a score for the Broncos to win in Cincinnati. We did see that there will be some rain. Weather could impact that game a little bit. So hopefully, Mother Nature can slow down Joe Burrow if the Broncos defense can't. But yeah, you mentioned Pat Surtain there. He has been here the whole time. Riley Moss, it will be back. So hopefully that should help the defense out. Jamar Chase, a lot of people could argue best wide receiver in the NFL, at least a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. Do you think the Broncos defensive game plan is as simple as just, hey, Pat Surtain, you got him?
Well, let's hope so, because we thought that was going to be the case against Jerry Jeudy, and it wasn't, right? And Jeudy went off for 200-plus yards, and Surtain even said after, there was that viral clip, Dante, of him being like, I wanted to trail you, but I didn't. And we're like, why not? So hopefully that lesson was learned. Yes, wherever Chase goes, 2 needs to follow. I'm talking every single play on him like glue. Andrew Mason has a good piece at denversports.com today about the last time they met, and PS2 totally shut him down. I mean, completely and utterly shut him down. So if Vance Joseph can't wake up to that fact, then Sean's going to have some serious conversations with him. I'm going to be really disappointed if Jamar goes for, I don't know, a 37-yard catch and we all look up and it's McMillan or it's Moss or it's someone else on him. It's Chris Abrams-Drain. That would just be inexcusable to me because, like you said, he's a top 3, top 2, top 1 wide receiver in the NFL. If you're going to pay Pat Surtain, which they did, and he's the top corner in the NFL, which he is, and he's the Defensive Player of the Year candidate, which he is, there's no excuse for him to not be on Chase every single play, and I mean every single play.
No, I'm with you. I want to see it every single play. 100% of snaps, I want him shadowing Jamar Chase. Do you think Surtain will have as much success on him as he did last time, as you pointed out, Andrew Mason was writing about on denversports.com?
Yeah, I mean, I'll never say never that PS2 can't do it again. I think it was like 1 catch for 3 yards. It was something flat out silly because we see him do it all the time against elite receivers, and his numbers are astounding. But Jamar Chase, like, it's him and Justin Jefferson, best receivers in the league. So I don't put it this way, Dante. We can't beat up Pat Surtain if Jamar goes for 5 catches for 70 yards tomorrow. Like, that still is going to be okay. What we have to avoid is 9 catches for $137 and a touchdown. That's the backbreaker type stuff. So I want to keep our expectations high, but I think they can be somewhere in the middle. You see what I'm getting at there? Of like, if he can hold him, again, 3, 4, 5 catches, 50, 60, 70 yards, that's not a disaster. And when a guy's playing this well, maybe that should be the goal, and everything else will be gravy.
Yeah, I mean, I like the matchup as far as Pat Surtain. He usually plays better with those bigger wide receivers, which Chase is. He's usually not as equipped to handle the Jerry Jeudy's or like the smaller, shiftier guys. So I think it's a matchup that's built for Pat Surtain and what he brings to the Broncos defense. So that'll be great to see. Weather is well a factor. I don't know if you saw the quote earlier from Broncos offensive coordinator talking about how they didn't have the right balls in the New York Jets game. So hopefully they can have the right balls. Do you think Bo Nix will redeem himself in a what could be a rainy game, his second of his Broncos career?
Well, I mean, he looked like he couldn't grip the football in New York, so that was concerning. Like, there was definitely times where it looked like Bo Nix was shot putting it. You remember how awkward that first half was? And it's funny that the guy played in Eugene, Oregon. Like, last time I checked, it rains in Oregon, and he looked really uncomfortable. So I did like the comments from Joe Lombardi, and then Sean Payton yesterday even doubled down on, like, they're doing the wet football drills. So I think they're prepared for it. But honestly, I think we're all going to be watching those first 2, 3, 4 passes from Bo and going, okay, does this look less awkward than it looked in New York? Because it was flat out awkward in that first half in New York. That's going to be a big tell early on, especially in the first quarter of this game.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. We'll see how the weather ends up, factoring in. Sometimes those reports can be a little off. It could be more than you're expecting or less than you're expecting. So that'll be interesting to see. And then Sean Payton getting a lot of flack after opting into the Thursday night football game last week. Would a win in Cincinnati absolve him of all that criticism from opting into that Thursday night game?
Yeah, I think so, because his justification was always it was about them getting more rest before the Bengals and the Bengals getting less rest because them and the Browns got flexed out. So clearly his focus when he made that decision a month ago was on beating Cincinnati, not as much beating on the Chargers. Now, that's a different debate for a different day, because if they had beaten the Chargers, we'd be talking about the 6 seed, the 5 seed. But remember, when they had to make the decision, they were just trying to make the playoffs, and making the playoffs was jumping the Bengals. So to answer your question, yes, because his justification was always, we're doing it to help us and to hurt Cincinnati. Well, if you go in and win against Cincinnati, then it looks like the flex helped you and hurt the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that one. I think a win in Cincinnati, I mean, they should have probably won in LA as it was. Yeah. They could have maybe double dipped and, talking about the 6 or 5 seed, better matchup in that first round, because it's not looking too hot. If they do get in at this point, it probably means you're heading to Buffalo in early January, which is I don't think a lot of people are going up to Buffalo for vacation in January. So hopefully that hopefully, we'll see what ends up happening, how the playoffs break. Let's just focus on getting in, which means a win against Cincinnati. And we already got our predictions, so let's move on. We have another game, Denver sports football related, right after that game. So that the Broncos will kick off at 2:30, and then right after 5:30, we have the Alamo Bowl featuring our CU Buffs taking on the BYU Cougars. It was funny. The BYU quarterback yesterday called it the People's Big 12 Championship, being that these two teams were 3rd and 4th in the Big 12 standings. Didn't quite make it down to Dallas, but they will play here in Texas still in the Alamo Bowl. Seems like CU's been having a good time out there. We got a lot of viral moments of Coach Prime talking to the team from the plane to, making sure no one was, doing nefarious stuff in the hotels or whatnot. And then we have the viral clip of LeJontay Wester getting his number back, number 1, after it was taken for his grades. Do you like how much fun the Buffs have been having out there?
Well, yeah, you left out the biggest headline. Miss Peggy's down in San Antonio.
Miss Peggy. We had the Riverwalk as well down in San Antonio.
This woman is 100 years old, Dante, and she's getting on a private jet from Colorado to fly to San Antonio. Like, good for Miss Peggy. Shout out Miss Peggy. First of all, like 99% of the population doesn't make it to 100. And the 1% that does, they're not up and moving around and traveling to football games. So this woman is superhuman. I love that she was there. I love that she was on the Riverwalk in front of like the thousands of fans. Like you would think, her great grandson or granddaughter would be like, maybe that overwhelms Miss Peggy, but nope, she's 100. No, nothing overwhelms Miss Peggy. So she's been my favorite part. On the football side of things, though, it does seem like the Buffs care. Like it seems like the Buffs care a lot, which if they come out of it healthy, then great. They come out of it healthy. I know there's the big insurance policies, and we've talked about that, and that's all fine and dandy. But the reality is we'll all feel better at 9 o'clock tomorrow night if Shedeur and Travis are walking out of that stadium with a smile on their face. Win or lose, I don't really care. It's more about them walking out healthy. So there's going to be some hold your breath type moments, but I am excited that it does, in a bowl season where there's always duds, doesn't feel like this one's going to be a dud. It does feel like both teams care.
Yeah, no, I think both teams are very focused on winning. I heard from some of the BYU players. They seem pretty focused. And then Coach Prime's message has always been, hey, let's take care of business. We're going to have fun out here, but the goal is to win this game on Saturday, and this, Shedeur and Travis era on the right page. And then we actually have gotten some looks into the next era of CU football. We've had Juju Lewis. We've had the transfer. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was the Liberty quarterback transferred in as well. He's been out at practice, as well as some of the early signees from the Buffs as well. So it feels like the team camaraderie is at an all-time high. Juju Lewis is getting, the playbook from Shedeur in terms of, hey, this is how we prep for games. This is how we go about our business. So it does seem like this is a great launching point for the Buffs into the future. Do you see it the same way, or do you think this is kind of just a one-off? Do you see it as I'll go this way. Do you see it as a launching point for the next era, or the book closing on the current era?
I think it's a little bit of both, because like Juju Lewis said, this is a great orientation for him. So I don't think there's any question that Juju Lewis being there and seeing the bowl game and practicing, like that's huge. That's a huge 4, 5, 6 month head start on what he may have had otherwise if he was still in high school. So I definitely think it's a launching point in orientation, but yeah, it's also kind of sad, man. Like these last 2 years, and I know the record wasn't great last year, but these last 2 years have been fun. The amount of attention this program has gotten, and that'll continue with Deion staying here. At least we think 99% chance he's staying. But Travis and Shedeur may be the 1 and 2 pick. Like let's not sugarcoat what they are losing. They are losing 2 incredible talents. So yeah, CU football wasn't on my radar, dude. I didn't care about CU football. In the last 2 years, I've watched every single game. I've been plugged into CU football. I've become big fans of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. So there's definitely an element of tomorrow night is the major end of an era in Boulder.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I think it'll be a little emotional out there, because it probably will be Shedeur and Coach Prime's last game as a duo of head coach and quarterback there. So that'll be fun to see. I know Deion hinted at Travis potentially returning for another year. He does have another year of eligibility. I don't see that quite happening.
Travis has said he's going to the draft. That's just Deion being Deion. Yeah.
Hey, it wouldn't be Deion if he wasn't making headlines. Sure. So that should be a fun wrap up to the season. I know everyone wasn't looking forward to the Alamo Bowl. I know, especially towards the second half of the season, there were some higher aspirations, but I think if you look back at this season, you could still call it a successful season for the Buffs. And the Alamo Bowl is a big deal. It is the highest honor for teams that didn't make the playoff in terms of Big 12 teams. So there is no other bigger bowl that they could have gone to outside of the playoff for the Buffs. So I do still see this as a successful season, and it's San Antonio, but still a good bowl to make it to for the Buffs. That'll be fun to see tomorrow night, as Denver sports fans will be on the couch for 6-7 straight hours watching the Broncos and Buffs. And then let's move on. It is New Year's Eve rolling up on us next week, so we're going to do some New Year's resolutions to wrap up the show here. We're going to do one for each team here. Will, if you want to start, go ahead. I'll let you pick which team you want to start off with here.
All right, so what are we doing? We're doing the Big Four, the Buffs.
Yep, Big Four and the Buffs.
All right, let's start with the Broncos. And the New Year's resolution is to keep this momentum rolling, okay? We can't get teased with, they had one great season, and then next year you're winning 7 or 8 games, okay? Like, my New Year's resolution is let's morph this team into eventually a Super Bowl contender. I'm not sure they're a Super Bowl contender next year. But if you win 11, 12 games, Mahomes gets a year older, Kelsey gets a year older, Chris Jones gets a year older. Dante, the Broncos would be doing this and the Chiefs would be doing this. Like, I don't think the intersection is that far off. So my New Year's resolution is keep the momentum rolling, keep it rolling uphill for the first time in a long time. And we do know that teams can go from really bad to really good in the NFL quick. Year, 2 years, 3 years. That's the trajectory I want to see the Broncos stay on.
Yeah, you see NFL teams' windows close quicker than ever. You know, it's one of those where the window or the door seems open down the road here, and then it just shuts on you out of nowhere. So that happens a lot, especially with, Travis Kelce getting older, like you said, Mahomes getting a little older. I think Mahomes still has a lot of career to play, but he might have to retool how he is working without a Kelce in the future. So I like that. I had so sometimes New Year's resolutions don't have to be something new that you're doing. It could just be able to do what you're doing more consistently and better.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with run the ball more consistently. So I just think that this team has, as good as they've been this year for the Broncos, there's so much room to grow on with running the ball, and that could help Bo Nix out into the future. And because then it's just not as much on his plate. So I'd like to see Sean Payton be able to run the ball more consistently. He had it written on the top of his play sheet there, run the ball, ! In all caps there. So I think Sean Payton himself is already prepping for that New Year's resolution, and that could actually even start into the end of this season as 2025. The Broncos will be playing into 2025, hopefully into those playoffs as well. And then I'm going to take it here to the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets need to rediscover their grit and hunger. It just feels like they've been very disinterested in 2024. And that goes even towards the Olympics with Jamal Murray. So in 2025, and that could be that's going to be the back half of this season for the Nuggets. I think if they find that, they'll be in a good spot here heading into the second half of the season and hopefully the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. My biggest one is Jamal Murray's just got to wake up. Like, that's my resolution, is that Jamal Murray rediscovers his desire, his passion, his hunger, as you said, and his ability to play better basketball. Like, it's not just a mental thing, it's a physical thing. We don't see athletes in their late 20s fall off a cliff like this, okay? Where he was 18 months ago and where he is now is stunning. It's shocking. We see it in the NFL when guys get close to 40, not in the NBA when guys are 27 years old. He's a 27-year-old playing like a 37-year-old. My New Year's resolution is for Jamal Murray to rediscover his love for basketball, wake up, and start playing better.
I like it. And hopefully he can snap into that pretty quickly here. And then we'll go with the Rockies here. I had just be relevant and in the mix until July or June, just further into the summer.
The Rockies jumping the Avs and the Buffs. How disrespectful. They're two great teams. Be relevant is good. I'll keep it even simpler, but the bar is so low. My resolution, don't lose 100 games. Like, lose 99 games. At least you don't lose 100 for a third straight season when you had never done it in the history of your franchise. Don't lose 100 games, but it's the Rockies. I can't sit here and tell you, be a wild card team. No, don't lose 100 games.
Yeah, no, we're looking for reasonable resolutions here, something that you can keep up with. The guy that puts, go to the gym every day of the year, that's just impossible to follow through on. Exactly. So let's keep the bar at a achievable level for the Rockies here. We'll do the Avs, which had some breaking news today as Blackwood was signed to an extension here. Looks like it was $5.25 million per year for 5 years, I believe. And I'm sure you'll know better if that was a little off there. So my New Year's resolution is to just stick with the current goalie we have. It feels like it's been a revolving door there for the last, 3-4 seasons since they won the cup. And it'd be nice just to have a little consistency there.
Well, I don't know if you wrote your resolution in the last hour or you did it last night or this morning, but you may have already gotten your wish because you had it correct. It's 5 years, $5.25 million. Dante, your resolution already came true. You don't give out that kind of money, that kind of years, unless they are going to stick with Mackenzie Blackwood. So, knock on wood, barring injury, he is the goalie moving forward. So, your resolution has been granted. My New Year's resolution is to figure out what is going on with Gabriel Landeskog. Just one way or another, we just need clarity. Guys, he either needs to return this season or he needs to retire, okay? This is the third full season. My resolution is that come March, April, May, June, Landy's either back on the ice helping the team or he's holding a press conference in a suit and we're all giving him a standing ovation as he retires. But one of the two has to happen, and that's my resolution.
I like it. A little bit of closure at the situation, whether it's closure in terms of him returning or closure in terms of we know that he will not be returning. I think that's a resolution on a lot of people's lists this year. And then we'll finish up with the Buffs. I had their resolution as just keep their momentum like you had with the Broncos. You keep their momentum going. It's going to be a new team. It's going to be a new look. They're not going to have the number 1 and the likely number 2 draft picks on their team next year. But that doesn't mean you can't, once you get to a certain level in college football, it's not about a rebuild. It's about a retool, but you're still in the mix. So just keep the momentum going into 2025. Keep the excitement high. That Folsom Field's been, sold out almost every game. It feels like it's, a raucous crowd. It's loud. It's just the city of Denver and Boulder is a better place when the Buffs are in the mix. And I'd like to keep that train rolling.
Yeah, mine's similar. It's don't let the magic leave Boulder. Okay. Like Deion's not going to leave, but you're still losing 2 incredible players. Like, don't take a step back and all of a sudden we look up and they're 5-7 next year. That's not going to be a lot of fun. Boulder is magical right now. And just because 2 great players depart doesn't mean the magic has to leave with them. But we're going to need other guys to step up in a big, big way. Those are really hard shoes to fill. Don't let the Buffs take a step back, similar to yours. But I'll call it magic. Keep that magic in Boulder.
I like it. Well, thank you for joining me today. That was Coffee Break. We'll be back next week and reacting to all things Denver sports. We'll have reaction to hopefully a Broncos win in Cincinnati, and we can start previewing a little bit of the playoffs for these guys, as well as we'll have the end of the Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter era. We can react to that on Monday, maybe take a little look back at what was that era. And everybody else, though, thank you for listening, and we'll be back Monday.